If your dog could choose how much protein, fat, and carbs to eat, what do you think your dog would end up choosing? How much carbs, for instance, do you think your dog would actually choose to eat on its own? That's what the study we're going to talk about today was looking to find out. And it seems like what most people feed their dogs today is not exactly, or is actually pretty far from what dogs would choose to eat if they had different options. Is that the case with your dog? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Ingunn, the Norwegian Viking behind Viking Dog Girl. I hold a certificate as a pet food nutrition specialist, and I'm here every week to share tips and no BS truth about living the best life with dogs. And I hope that you will find ways to help your dog be as happy, healthy, and live as long as possible. Maybe even extend your dog's life by years. Now let's look at that study. The study looked at 15 dogs who were offered 3 different diets in excess at the same time during a 10-day period. All diets contained the same ingredients, only in different proportions. It was maize, meaning corn, lamb loin fat, green tripe, and venison mechanically deboned meat. Diet 1 was very high in protein, with 58% of metabolized energy being protein. Diet 2 was very high in fat, with 87% of metabolized energy from fat. And Diet 3 was very high in carbs, with 55% of metabolized energy from carbs. Now remember, the dogs were presented all 3 diets at the same time and in excess. So they were allowed to choose freely which food to actually consume. And this is what they found in this study. On average, over the 10 days, the dogs only ate 3% carbs based on energy. They ended up eating 38% protein and 59% fat by energy. Now, over the course of those 10 days, their intake changed a little bit, though the carb intake didn't change much at all. They originally ate a bit more of the high-fat diet, however, that decreased a bit over those 10 days. Now, check out this figure or graph right here. It shows the blue columns represent how often the dogs approached each of the different diets as the first diet that they approached. The high protein diet was approached most, though there wasn't much of a difference between the high fat and the high carb diet when it came to which one they approached first. However, if you look at the orange columns, they represent which food they would actually consume first. And as you can see, the high protein diet surpassed the others by far. And very few dogs actually chose the high carb diet to eat first. So it kind of suggests that the high carb diet wasn't very appetizing for the dogs. Now this graph right here shows it all, because it shows the percentage of each of the diets that were completely avoided by the dogs. And as you can see, the high carb diet was by far the one that was completely avoided by dogs. Now, before we move on, I just want to remind you that if you want lots more tips on and no BS truth on living the best life with your dog, then click that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And remember to follow me on Instagram at Viking Ingunn. Now, it's important to note that this study did not test different types of high carb diets, meaning different diets of high carb, though with other carb sources. There is a chance that the dogs simply didn't enjoy corn as the flavor of the food. However, if they had chosen a different carb source, maybe the dogs would have actually wanted to eat more of the carb-loaded diet. This was not tested, and it's one of the weaknesses of this study. Still, it's pretty interesting, especially because most dogs today eat the opposite. They eat a very high carb diet. If dry dog food, especially dry dog food, they contain a lot of carbs, even 40 to 60% carbs on a dry matter basis or even more, and that applies to even premium dog food. And our dogs don't actually get to choose what to eat, do they? Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the carbs in general. However, first of all, dogs do not require carbs in their diet. Second of all, they don't actually seem to prefer carbs in their diet. They especially prefer protein, especially if it's from real food, as in meat or other animal sources. We all know dogs love meat, right? And third of all, a truly natural diet for dogs would be very low in carbs, especially starch, which is the main carb type of carb that is found in, for instance, dry dog food and other commercial dog foods as well. So even though carbs in general might not be bad for our dogs, it's not really natural for dogs to eat a lot of carbs, and they wouldn't necessarily eat high carb diet themselves if given the choice. Now just think about this. Each animal in the wild naturally eat what they're instinctively attracted to. They just intuitively know what they're supposed to eat in order to get the nutrients that they need. Well, dogs, of course, are not living in the wild anymore. They live very comfortable lives with us. However, they haven't really changed that much when it comes to their digestive system. And just imagine, if a dog were to live in the wild, I'm pretty sure the dog wouldn't have a feast running around in a cornfield chomping down on corn. Instead, the dog would eat as the natural diet is as a carnivore, namely other animals, and supplement with some other plant matter if necessary. Dogs are intuitively smart. They know what foods are healthy for them. They know which foods they need to eat to get the nutrients they need. That is the natural foods, because the foods that most people feed their dogs today is not natural because it's highly processed and it's also mashed together, so the dog doesn't even get a choice whether or not to eat certain ingredients. Plus, kibble, for instance, may often be coated with, for instance, animal fat, so it makes the food taste and smell better for the dogs and can in a way trick them into eating the food, even though they might not actually have wanted to eat the food if those flavorings were not present, especially if they were given the choice between that and some delicious meat. It's certainly something to think about, because ignoring our dogs' intuition, their built-in intuition of what to actually eat, by instead feeding them processed high-carb diet, may not be the best thing for our dogs. And there are ways diet like this may affect our dog's health. And it's not just the carbs that may be an issue. There are other aspects of dog food, most dog foods actually out there, even premium dog food, that may have a very bad effect on our dog's health, especially over time. We might not notice these things right away because our dog doesn't necessarily get sick from like 2 minutes after eating the food. However, over time, these issues may build up, and we might not realize that it's actually the food, the thing that we're feeding our dogs every single day, that led to these issues. So there are some very important dangers in most dog foods out there that we all should know about, and that's why I created a totally free online class where I share 3 suspiciously hidden dangers in dog food that may even cut your dog's lifespan in half, even premium dog food. I know, it's pretty serious, and that's why I created this online class, and it's free. And there are ways to combat these dangers as well. So that's why in this class, I also share 3 powerful yet simple whole foods to instantly boost your dog's meals and take back control. So for your dog's sake, I hope you'll watch this webinar to learn about these dangers as well as those 3 powerful whole foods. So if you want to sign up, then head over to this link right here, which I'll also share in the description of this video. It's free, so take this opportunity to learn something very useful for your dog's health. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the thumbs up. Give your beautiful dog a hug from me, and I'll see you next time.